recording. Okay. You can join me with the Mangalacharan prayer and the Guru Pranam mantra. Om Jnana Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Agana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhitam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakambikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaskute Jadam Suratau Pango Mama Manda Matirgati Mat Sarvasva Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mohana Nityakindaranyo Kalpa Drumadaha Srimatratna Gado Simhasanasto Sriman Radha Srila Govinda Devo Rashtali Bihi Sevamano Smarami Sriman Dasara Sarambi Vamsivata Statastitaha Darshan Vino Sarar Gopir Gopinata Shristunaha Taptakanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Devi Pranamami Hari Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharine. नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भागवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नस्तुति. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Nirvākalpatrodalitam phalam sukhamukaramritadrabhyasamitam Bhagavatam rasamadhyam muraho rasika bhavaha Krishnaయ वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्घ्रे त्वयि मे अनन्तशया मथेर्मधुपतियासकृत् रतिम् उद्वहतत् अदा गङ्गे भौगं मदन्वतिः. O Lord of sweetness, Madhupati, as the Ganga forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction, or Atim, be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vikmanina Narasimha Namini Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayatim Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Mande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Mishwaram Om Tat Sat. So, Hare Krishna devotees, thank you very much for joining us for this Srimad Bhagavatam session. So, we are doing chapter 18, Mhj Parikshit cursed by a Brahmana boy. So, this is part 4. So, we have done 4 parts of this chapter so far. We probably will need to do one more part, part 5, that will be in 2 weeks' time. So, before we continue, let us do a bit of recap of what we have covered so far in this chapter. So, this chapter began with the glorification of Maharaj Parikshit. So, why this chapter began like that? The reason for that we will discuss in this session today. It will be apparent. So anyway, so Maharaj Parikshit was glorified, and it was described that Maharaj Parikshit was the most fortunate person, Mahabhagyam, greatly fortunate. So after talking about that, we won't go into those details today because we have already mentioned that several times in the past few sessions. So after this is Sutta Goswami telling to the sages of the Naimisaranya forest about the glories of Maharaj Parikshit and how he was so fortunate because he was directly saved by the greatest calamity in the whole universe, the Brahmashtra, by none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, personally. When he was just a helpless fetus in the womb. So, and therefore he is known as Vishnu Ratha. And because of that incident, and on top of that, he was born to the Pandavas, grandson of Arjuna, and how the association of the Pandavas were directly given to him. So he was born of a great dynasty, born with extremely auspicious circumstances, directly saved by the Lord, and brought up by great personalities like the Pandavas themselves, right? And in this way, many great qualities. How when he was born, great the Brahmanas described how he would have many wonderful qualities. So anyway, and we heard about a little bit about Maharaj Parikshit's activities. So we heard how Maharaj Parikshit was very much like Dharma personified himself, and how he checked Kali from entering into his kingdom and wreaking havoc. So Kali was perpetrating a very terrible act. He was punishing Dharma, he was abusing Dharma, and he was disturbing the earth. And all this was done in the form of a king. So Kali had taken this disguise as a king. So in this way, in the name of authority, adharma will be prevalent in Kali Yuga. So that is the understanding. And Maharaj Parikshit, as soon as he saw this, he checked Kali. So we heard about that with some detail, right? And so, and then after speaking about Parikshit Maharaj, because he had answered some of their questions, the sages had asked several questions. So one of those questions was to describe about these activities of Parikshit Maharaj also. So he was going to continue, but he left it at a cliffhanger. He left the narration at a cliffhanger, saying how Parikshit Maharaj would be cursed. And after hearing so much of glory about Parikshit Maharaj, about his birth, about his qualities, about how he was so close to the Pandavas, to the Lord himself, and how he was saved from the greatest calamity, and then suddenly, he's mentioning how he will be cursed by a Brahmana boy. That too by a Brahmana boy, not cursed by a demon or anything like that, but by a Brahmana boy. How is this that such a personality who is the defender of Dharma, and now he is cursed by a Brahmana boy? What came about? So he left it at a cliffhanger. So then the sages were very enthusiastic. The sages of Naimisaranya, they are described as Rasavit. They are very expert in relishing mellows, the different rasas, in connection with the Bhagavat. That means in connection with Bhagavat means the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Remember, Bhagavat also means the devotees of the Lord, the pure devotees of the Lord. So he was very Sushrushatam. Susru Sata means very anxious, and they are very anxious to hear. And that's the way one should hear Srimad Bhagavatam or anything to do with the Supreme Lord. So Shravanam has to be done with that mentality, with that attitude. And it will be very wonderful. The effect in our heart will be very wonderful. So, reciprocating to this request by the sages, Sutta Goswami continues to narrate. But before he continues to narrate, he glorifies the attitude of the sages. He talks about how the sages, it's very nice that they have this kind of anxiety to hear, and and uh, and then he talks about the glorification of hearing itself, how Shravanam is very, very purifying. Simply by hearing, by Shravanam, and we can purify our impurities, remove our impurities. So, what should we hear? Mhj Parikshit, Sutta Goswami was very clear about it. We should hear his Anant Gunas, his unlimited qualities. So, these unlimited qualities are not restricted to only hearing about certain things. We should continuously, there is no end to hearing about his glorifications. Right? So, we talked about that to some extent previously. So, Shravanam and Kirtanam, this process of the nine process of bhakti, beginning with Shravanam, hearing, and chanting, Kirtanam, right? Uh, it is not only for certain people, it is for everyone. So it is described how Sutta Goswami continues the narration, but before he continues the narration, he says how even though I am born from not from a Brahmana family, even though I'm born from a mixed caste, right? Still, I can speak this, I can take advantage of this Shravanam and Kirtanam, Sutta Goswami is saying. So we can understand how low birth is not an impediment in this processes of nine processes of bhakti, Shravanam and Kirtanam. Anyone can take up this process. What is the qualification? One should be, of course, anxious to hear. One should hear with faith, right? Uh, but most importantly, one should hear from a devotee. That's what Prabhupada says in the Bhagavad Gita introduction also, right? He says, the Bhagavad Gita should be heard or understood from a devotee of the Lord. So, in that aspect, the importance of the association of the pure devotees of the Lord was very much stressed. So, how it was described that even a moment of association, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, this is mentioned. In the previous sessions of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the same point was raised also. Lava Matra, that means just a moment of association with the sadhu. Lava Matra Sadhu Sange, that can give you all perfection. Sarva Siddhi Haya. Lava Matra Sadhu Sange Sarva Siddhi Haya. It can give all perfection. Just a moment of association. So and this same point is stressed many times in Srimad Bhagavatam, and and there were many descriptions given also, like how even Narada Muni benefited from this, right? So we should, as much as possible, try to associate with those pure devotees, and particularly to serve them and to hear from them. And in this way, we will get their blessings, and that will be very, 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 very powerful. It's actually the best method. So that's another verse also. One should follow in the footsteps of the devotees, right? Uh, so simply an association, a moment's association is so powerful, it can purify us. What to speak of what to speak of following in their footsteps? So, in other words, say in the previous sentence, the point was raised. Vriddha anuvritta. Vriddha anuvritya means for anuvritya means to follow, to what do you call to follow carefully, right? And Vriddha means those who are very, very wise, spiritually very wise. So simply by following carefully the instructions and the example left behind by those who are spiritually very wise, right? In other words, the sadhus. So then how much more benefit we will get? So that's the understanding. And the same point is also mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? Uh, what's that? No, no, not in, yeah, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is actually a repetition of the verse given by Yudhishthira Maharaj in Mahabharata. So Yudhishthira Maharaj says the same thing. He says how simply by reading scripture or simply by doing different activities, one cannot achieve the ultimate goal of life. So one can only achieve the ultimate goal of life by following in the footsteps of the pure devotees or the great souls. Mahajana sapantaha. That means one should follow in the footsteps of the Mahajans, the pure souls. So follow their instruction, follow their examples. So that is, we are very fortunate in ISKCON. So we have an entire parampara of Mahajans. We have Srila Prabhupada who have set the example and set the instructions. But it's very important we have to follow them very carefully, and we have to read these instructions very carefully so that we do not get, we don't misunderstand. So that's where association also comes. So, and then the next point, Sutta Goswami continues talking about how who is what and who should we cheer about, who should we chant about. So that personality is none other than Krishna. Who else who else can take this position? Who is worthy to be called Bhagavan Ananto? Bhagavan Ananto comes from the word Bhagavan Ananta. Bhagavan means the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ananta means unlimited. Who else qualifies to be called the unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead, if not Krishna, right? So Sutta Goswami is saying like this. And why is he Ananta Bhagavan? Why is Krishna Ananta Bhagavan? Due to his Ananta Mahad Guna, his unlimited qualities. Krishna is unlimited. Of course, he's unlimited for many reasons, but particularly these two is mentioned because of his Mahat Guna, his great unlimited great qualities, and his unlimited Shakti. He has unlimited Shakti, all arrayed, waiting for his command. So therefore, Krishna is Ananta Bhagavan. And not just Sutta Goswami is saying this. Therefore, he gives testimony. He quotes other people. He talks about how others have also given the same testimony, like how Shiraja means, we talked about Shiraja. The word Shiraja means one who is born from the ocean of milk. Shira means milk, Aja means born. So that refers to Lakshmi Devi. Lakshmi Devi, one of the names of Lakshmi is Shirja, right? So Lakshmi, we heard about how when the ocean of milk was churned, Lakshmi Devi appeared as the eighth item to come out from the ocean of milk, right? And as soon as she came, she saw no one who is as qualified. So therefore, she wanted to serve the most qualified person, and she saw only her eyes were only for one person, and that was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then she went and garlanded him. So we heard about this previous session. And not only Lakshmi, who accepted the Supreme Lord as the most qualified person in the entire assembly of everyone there, uh, Lord Brahma, Lord Brahma also accepted this position. So it was described how when Trivikrama, when Vamana Dev came, and then he was granted the three boons by Bali Maharaj. The first step he put, and he covered the entire lower planetary systems. The second step, he covered the entire upper planetary systems, right? And with his toe, he pierced the coverings of the universe, and the water of the Garbhodaka ocean, which is outside the universe, trickled inside, and it washed the toe of Vamana Dev as it pierced that universal place. And the water trickled and washed the feet of Vamana Dev, and it was carefully collected by Brahma. So Virincha, Brahma, collected this in his Kamandulu, and he took that kamandulu, and of course he drank it, and he washed himself with it, and he went and offered it as arghya water, as a welcoming drink to Lord Shiva. So we have the testimony of Lord Shiva also, Isham. So Lord Shiva, he took the Arghya water offered to him by Lord Brahma, but it wasn't sufficient for him. He wanted more. He was greedy for more. So he accepted the fall of that water. So as the water was trickling down the universe, he accepted it upon his head. So that water is known as Ganga. So we heard about that in our previous session also in some detail, right? So therefore, no one, and because the Lord is unlimited, right? No one can therefore adequately glorify him, even though we may try. So, but still, but still, one should one when one glorifies, and then the description was given just like how the when the eagles or the birds soar into the sky, some birds can go higher altitudes, some birds can go even higher. So like that, the eagle can fly at a very high altitude, whereas the pigeon or whatever cannot go too high. So according to the capability of the realization, according to the realization of the speaker, to that extent one can glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the point is there is no end to this glorification. And so, therefore, after speaking all this, Sutta Goswami, now he begins to continue the narration of the incident of the cursing of Maharaj Parikshit. So, we stopped here previously. So, we will continue. So, this is the recap of the last session where the setting of the scene was made. Once upon a time, ekada means in Sanskrit, once upon a time, Maharaj Parikshit, while engaged in hunting in the forest with bow and arrows, became extremely fatigued and hungry and thirsty while following the stags. So, uh, the question may be asked, why would such a great personality like Maharaj Parikshit hunt, go hunting? Isn't hunting something very cruel, right? Something which is not to be done. Uh, so, but then this same point was also raised previously, like even in Ramayana, Sita will ask, go and get for me this golden deer. So Lord Ram will take out his bow and arrow and he will go and hunt the golden deer. So yes, hunting is not very good. It kills living entities, right? But at the same time, just like how but these are Kshatriyas. So just like how Lord Ramachandra was a Kshatriya and Parikshit Maharaj is also a Kshatriya. So for them, it is allowed. There is no sin for Kshatriyas to do hunting. And why is that? Why is that? Is because Kshatriyas, it by necessity, by the necessity of law, it is necessary for them to practice the martial arts. They need to practice killing, so they need to practice their archery, practice their weaponry, and it's not all the time that is war. So how do they practice? Of course, they practice in the courtyard, using a dummy and all that. But it's not the same effect as how you practice in the real situation. So before you go for war, just like in medical students, medical students before they are put into the hospital for sure, they go through housemanship, isn't it? They have to go through housemanship and they have to practice, and so then they get used to it. Otherwise, they might faint looking at blood. So they see something or they might just so Kshatriyas, they are trained in this way. So for that necessity, it's given. And at the same time, hunting is also allowed because the forests are the place where sages perform their austerities. So sometimes when there are wild animals like tigers, so ferocious creatures, their population need to be kept in check so that they don't disturb the population. So it is a very controlled thing, right? So uh, it's not something which is wantonly done, not arbitrarily simply done, not like how they do it nowadays, where they create slaughterhouse, they breed creatures just to be killed. So, but this is different. This is not so many. It doesn't decimate the population. It is a controlled activity where they do it. So anyway, so in this way, Maharaj Parikshit, acting according to Kshatriya nature, all right, according to the dharma of the Kshatriya, he was engaged in hunting in the forest with bow and arrows. And he became extremely fatigued and hungry and thirsty while following the stags. So this happens in hunting. It's a very hot affair. So while searching for a reservoir of water, Parikshit Maharaj, he entered the hermitage of the well-known Shamika Rishi. So Shamika Rishi is a very famous Rishi, and he saw that the sage was sitting peacefully, Shantam. So he was sitting very peacefully with closed eyes in his ashram. So Maharaj Parikshit was very thirsty, very tired, and he came and he was expecting to be received by this Rishi. Why? Because he was the king of the world, right? So, but he saw this Rishi was sitting very peacefully and apparently oblivious to the presence of the king. So the Rishi was not aware. It looked like that he wasn't aware. So he didn't open his eyes. He didn't say anything. So Parikshit Maharaj could see, Sutta Goswami is describing the Muni's senses, the Indriyas, the Muni's Indriyas, Prana, Mano Buddhim. So what is Indriya? Indriya means the senses, the five senses, right? And plus one, including the mind. So Mano Buddhim, Mano means the mind, Buddhi means intelligence, and Prana means life air, the air of life, which there are five types of prana within our body, which is circulating constantly. And so the Munis' senses, life air, mind, and intelligence were all restrained from material activities. So this is how Ashtanga Yoga works. This is one of the systems, Ashtanga Yoga. So in Ashtanga Yoga, with purified intelligence, you try to control the mind. How do we control the mind? So by controlling the mind, we have to first control the senses, and then by controlling the senses, they control the life air, and then by controlling the life air, they stabilize the mind, and in this way, they can concentrate. So that is the mechanical Ashtanga yoga process, which is difficult, and it's not recommended for this age. Whereas in the bhakti process, we control our senses through the bhakti process of the nine processes of devotional service, beginning from hearing and chanting and serving and right. So the other things. So this Muni was sitting peacefully like this, and he was situated in a trance apart from the three. That means he was in trance. And what does it mean by trance? Trance means that his consciousness is separated from the three states of consciousness. What are the three states of consciousness? The three states of consciousness are called Jagrati, Swapna, and Susupti. Jagrati means wakefulness. So somebody is awake, that's Jagrati, right? And somebody is unconscious, like they are sleeping or they are in a coma, right? So that is called Susupti. Consciousness is sometimes awake and sometimes asleep. And in between that, there is something called Swapna. Swapna means dream state. So that means he is not conscious of his gross senses, but he is thinking about something else in a dream state, in a different state. So, and trance is separate from all three. It is not wakefulness, it is not dream state, and it is not unconsciousness. It is different from all three. It is a fourth state, right? So, anyway, this sage was in that state. Sutta Goswami was describing to the sages, right? So, the sage in meditation was covered by the skin of a stag, and a long compressed hair was scattered all over him. So, yeah, so this is how Ashtanga Yoga has to be done. It's described in Bhagavad Gita chapter 6. One cannot just do this kind of meditation in your house. We have to go to a sacred place or a lonely location where it's free from disturbance from any other human being. And then one, after performing many asanas to strengthen the body and to control the health of the body, one sits in meditation for a long period of time. All right, that's a way to do it. So one sits on a what do you call deer skin. So why they sit on a deer skin? So because the deer skin has this property where insects don't come, it seems. I don't know, I have not tested, but I've read about it. So if you wear deer skin, insects don't come. They don't come and disturb you. So therefore, to be free of this. Can you imagine sitting in a forest and so many insects around there and they come and disturb you? So therefore, they create a seat covered with deer skin, or sometimes they wear also deer skin. So where do they get these deer skins? So that's another thing. The Kshatriyas, when they go hunting, sometimes in their practice, so nothing is wasted. So everything is used in some use. Just like how the skin of the cow is also used to make mridanga, right? So, and so therefore, the point is, this kind of meditation is not easy, and it's not meant for Kali Yuga. So, but at that time, this sage was performing this meditation, and the king, whose palate was dry from thirst, asked him for water. So you can imagine the situation. The king, hungry and thirsty and tired, and he comes expecting to be received. And then, common courtesy, when somebody comes, right, it's common courtesy to receive. He was expecting, and he asked the sage, "Can I please have some water?" So the king, unfortunately, was not received. The sage ignored him. So he was deep in trance, and the sage ignored him. So the king, not received by any formal welcome, by means of being offered a seat, a place, water, and sweet addresses. So this is the way to receive a guest. So in Hinduism generally, uh, the receiving of guests is a very sacred seva, atiti seva. It's called atiti seva, to receive guest. Titi and atiti. Titi means guest who you know are coming. Atiti means guest who you don't know they are coming. So it's unforeseen guest. So it's described that if one receives a guest who you already know, you plan, you call the person, "I'm coming today, please receive me," and all that. You make an appointment. So when you receive someone like that, it's like as if you are serving Lord Indra himself. But if you receive a guest who is unannounced, suddenly who comes, and you receive them, it's like as if you're serving Narayana himself. So, and how does one serve guest? So the understanding is one serves the guest with all whatever they have in their house, whatever opulence they have, they receive the guest. So even if the guest is an enemy, they are still received by proper etiquette. So this etiquette refers to, according to one's means, they must offer uh, at least a seat. So when somebody comes, you must at least offer him a seat. Mm. And you must offer him a place for him to, stand or sit. It's like a nice area where you offer him this, for him to be there. Mm. And one should offer at least water, if not food or prashadam or whatever it is, at least water. And if one cannot even offer water or a place to sit or a seat, then at least one should offer sweet addresses. One should give sweet words of welcome. If none of these things one can give, then that person is condemned, and he has to, that is it's a big sin. So that is part of dharma, and this is to receive a guest. What to speak of the king of the world? If a king of the world is coming, how should one receive? So this Parikshit Maharaj, when he saw that he wasn't offered any of these things, the sage didn't do any of these things. He just ignored him. So Parikshit Maharaj considered himself neglected, and so thinking, he became angry. Mm. So, uh, why would he become angry? So there are many explanations. One explanation is Parikshit Maharaj was disturbed to see that Dharma was not being upheld in his kingdom. So in his kingdom, in a Vedic kingdom, right? The duty of the king is to ensure. You remember how Parikshit Maharaj was so careful about upholding dharma, like when Kali was beating the bull and disturbing the earth, right? How he established it very strongly, right? So that's the duty of the king, very very pakka in upholding dharma. So more so, some acharyas describe that even more so than himself feeling disturbed that he didn't get the water, he was disturbed in the sense that why is a Brahmana, a sage, ignoring, blatantly disregarding dharma in this way, that even when a guest comes to his house, he is not receiving them. So he was angry in that way. But at the same time, he was also upset because he was thirsty. Naturally, when somebody is thirsty, they say a hungry man is an angry man. So that's the English proverb, right? So if one is normally hot tempered, you want to you make that person hungry, even more that person will become hot tempered. So anyway, so therefore he was thirsty and hungry and tired, and on top of that, he saw blatant disregard of dharma, and therefore he, in thinking this way, he became angry. So, oh Brahmanas, unprecedented circumstances. Now this situation is unprecedented. That means it never happened before. It's unheard of. It is something. That's another reason why Maharaj Parikshit apparently was put into illusion, because he was unprepared. Sometimes when we are ready for something, when we are ready that somebody is going to say something bad to us, or when we are ready that something bad is going to happen to us, we are at least, we know how to handle things a little better. We know how to control our emotions a little better. We may not lose our temper so much. We may not say something bad so quickly, right? When we are ready for it. But if somebody says something which you are completely not ready, when something happens when you never expected it, sometimes we lose our mind or we lose our control, and due to that we may say something which is not right. So this can happen. So in this situation, it was completely unprecedented circumstance. It's like a shock, especially during those times when the Vedic dharma was followed so carefully. So the word particularly used here, abhuta purvaha. Abhuta purvaha means amazing or unprecedented. The circumstance was something very different, very not expected. So, Brahmanas, the unprecedented circumstances, having distressed him with extreme hunger and thirst, therefore it caused the king to do something. The king directed toward the sage his anger and envy. Hmm. Anger. Okay. We understood a little bit. We could understand a little bit why such anger came about. But envy? How did envy come into the heart of Parikshit Maharaj? So, and what is this envy? Later I will explain why the envy, right? So the king directed toward the sage his anger and envy, which he had never before directed toward Brahmana. So this is the nature of the king. Parikshit Maharaj, we've heard already, right? Before. So that's the reason why the chapter talked so much about the glorification of Parikshit Maharaj. It wanted to clearly establish that Parikshit Maharaj is a saint, a Raja Rishi, a saintly king, or full of good qualities only. So therefore, we will be even more perplexed. Uh, how could the king act in this way, right? Which he had never before directed toward a Brahmana. So it's unheard of for Parikshit Maharaj, the defender of Dharma, to act in such a way, or feel such a way towards a Brahmana. Not only did he feel angry or feel envious, he acted upon it. So what did he do? While leaving the king, being so insulted, Parikshit Maharaj lifeless snake. So uragam means snake, right? With his bow, like this in this picture, and angrily placed the dead snake on the shoulder of the sage. So he was just so upset. He was angry for several reasons, because he was hungry, because he was thirsty, because he was tired, and because he came the dharma, he saw how dharma was disregarded by this sage. Not only, if not out of respect for him, at least the sage should be respecting the position of the king. Sometimes we may not respect the person, but we may but the position ought to be respected. Like sometimes we have politicians who take up various positions like a minister or something like that. We may know that this minister, they accept bribes, they do this, all kinds of horrible things they do, but still the position we have to respect. So no matter what they do, right, that is between God and the kingdom and government. But the position has to be respected. So uh, Parikshit Maharaj was amazed. He was flabbergasted. If the sage doesn't like me, that's one thing, right? But at least as a king of the world, there should be some kind of recognition. So then, and so in this way, he was angry. But envy, later we'll talk about the envy. So in this way, he took a date. He saw one date snake lying nearby, and he placed it on the shoulder of the sage. Then he returned to his palace. And but upon returning, Maharaj Parikshit slowly came out of his so-called Maya. So, and it looked like he came out from that, and he started reflecting. Upon returning, he began to contemplate. He began to think. So this incident disturbed him. So we can understand how this incident wasn't something he was just careless about. It actually disturbed him. He was going back thinking about it, contemplating and argue within himself. So what was he thinking about? What was he arguing about? He was thinking about whether sage had actually been in meditation to that extent, with senses concentrated and eyes closed. Was the sage really in deep trance? Or whether he had just been feigning trance. Whether he was just feigning, that means acting to be in trance, just to avoid receiving lower Kshatriya. So here we see the inclination of the envy. So, so actually, uh, the ideal situation when the Lord created Varnashram, right? Varnashram was created where the Brahmanas are the leaders. They lead society because they have spiritual vision and because they are closely related to the Lordship, and therefore they are very much respected and they are put in a high position, the highest position. And to serve the Brahmanas, why must serve the Brahmanas? Because the Brahmanas cannot defend themselves. They concentrate themselves fully into vision. So they are visionaries. It's like the head. In a human body, we have the head. So you could say that everything seems to serve the head. Our arms take food and put inside our mouth, which is in the head, right? And we are thinking all the time, so it's also from the head. So the Brahmana, and what does the head do? The head directs the body. So directs the body where to go, what to do, what is the vision, where to move so that the body will not fall. So in this way, by vision, by advice, by guidance, the head protects the body from harm, and it leads the body towards comfort and towards higher situation. That's what the head does. Exactly in the same way, the Brahmana acts as a head for society. But the head alone is not enough. You cannot just live with the head alone. So everything else is needed. If somebody throws a punch towards the head, right? What will go and protect the head? It is immediately the arms. The arms are the ones which immediately goes and protects the head, right, from harm. And when the head wants something done, who does this? Who organizes? Who ensures that it's done? It's the arms, the limbs, right? So the Kshatriyas are like the limbs. So the Kshatriyas actually should act according to the direction of the Brahmanas. That is the ideal Varnashram system. But because of the influence of Kali, because of the creeping of the Kali Yuga coming, so Kali Yuga tried to, he tried to corrupt the earth, but he was checked by Parikshit Maharaj. So Kali Yuga had no way, completely no way to come in, because Parikshit Maharaj was so powerful and so strong. But the Lord had also promised Kali Yuga that he will have his time. So how can both happen then? So the time will come when Kali will have full sway. So that is part of the ordinance of this material creation. So it will have to come. Kali also will have his time. So to ensure that this happens, right, the Lord orchestrated a situation. he orchestrated a situation to allow this to happen. But at the same time, he used this situation to teach us many things. And this is what this is the lesson that we will hear, we will learn from this Bhagavatam story at this point here. So anyway, so he was thinking whether he had just, the sage was just acting like a trance, or was he really? So the influence of Kali came in this way. It created a doubt in Parikshit Maharaj's uh, thought process. So this is one of the things. So in this situation of cooperation between Brahmana and Kshatriya, in this cooperation between Brahmana and Kshatriya, there is a chance, if there is not sufficient faith, then the Brahmana may, the Kshatriya may feel, why should I always serve the Brahmana? Why can't the Brahmana serve me? Right? So this kind of thinking might come. And they may also have lack of faith in the genuineness of the Brahmanas. So this is what Kali Yuga does, isn't it? It creates doubts in people. It creates doubts because doubts is the enemy of faith. So as long as we have doubts, oh, is this sannyasi genuine? Is this guru really real guru? Is this society really a spiritual society? So all these doubts will be created in our heart. So this is all the nature of Kali. And true enough, it will corrupt the world in such a way that these doubts are many times justified. But during the reign of Parikshit Maharaj, there was no doubt. But still, by the Lord's will, this happened. So this is the first way in which Kali can penetrate. How can Kali penetrate? Kali first of all creates doubts. So that's why we have scripture. So in how can we stop Kali from penetrating into our heart? We have to ensure that our doubts about spirituality is removed. How do we do that? There's only one way to do that, by 9 processes of bhakti. Yes, you guessed that right. By hearing and chanting. By hearing, we hear, knowledge goes in, it removes our doubts. When we ask questions, we remove our doubts. And as we chant and as we hear, we get purified. And the more we get purified, the Lord Himself situated within our heart, right? Tesham satatam yuktanam dadati priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. Situated within the heart, the Lord reveals the knowledge to us. He guides us, He nudges us the knowledge so that we know. So the doubts are removed. So two ways the Lord works: by hearing and by chanting. The Lord within the heart acts to clean away the doubts from our hearts. So, but if we allow the doubts to rankle in our heart, then Kali will hold a root, where Kali will firmly hold its position within our heart. The more doubts we have, the more Kali will take hold of the doubts, and he will expand and expand and expand. And then in the end, the doubts will completely overwhelm us, and we lose our faith, right? So all this will happen. So that created the envy. So because of this, therefore the word envy was used. So it's natural for Kshatriyas nowadays in Kali Yuga. So Kshatriyas, there is a chance for Kshatriyas to feel envious of the Brahmanas because of the position of the Brahmanas, right? So now the big question, why did Maharaj Parikshit behave in this way? How can he behave this way? He's supposed to be like Lord Ram, right? In truthfulness, he's supposed to be like, in so many different qualifications was given in the descriptions in the previous chapters. So now we understand why Bhagavatam established that so much, because Bhagavatam didn't want us to have doubt about Parikshit Maharaj. Srimad Bhagavatam, Suta Goswami was very careful to ensure that we do not have doubt about Parikshit Maharaj. We must understand Parikshit Maharaj is pure devotee of the Lord. He's a Maha Bhagavata. He was so fortunate, right? So let us have that faith. Now we will address this question. Why did Maharaj Parikshit behave in this way? So the Acharyas from the parampara give us uh, many many dis, many explanations to remove our doubts, to help us to understand. So Prabhupada This is Prabhupada's purport. Such a great devotee and king asked for water from a sage absorbed in trance was certainly providential. So he's saying a pure devotee, a great devotee. This is Parikshit Maharaj who could control Kali Yuga. He had the power to control Kali Yuga. Such a great warrior who could fight and fight and fight without considering uh, thirst or hunger. So, would such a great personality would he be disturbed to such an extent just for the sake of water because he's thirsty? Would he do such a thing just for that? Right? When he could control so many other aspects of his, so much more austerity they can control. So, such a thing happening should already ring bell in our mind. Oh, this is not an ordinary situation. This is not an ordinary thing. It's something strange over here. So certainly this active situation is providential. So Maharaj Parikshit was a pure devotee of the Lord, and there was no reason for him to become extremely fatigued, hungry, and thirsty, because a devotee of the Lord never becomes perturbed by such bodily demands. He's not disturbed by bodily demands, right? He's completely tolerant, more tolerant than a tree, right? So how is it that this can happen? So that should already give us a understanding. This is not an ordinary situation. It just doesn't make sense. It's illogical that that can happen. Devotees like Maharaj Parikshit are powerful enough to forbear such distresses. By the will of the Lord, they are never disturbed. They are always protected by the Lord, right? They are never disturbed. So that is the first inclination that this is not an ordinary situation. This is something strange. So then Prabhupada makes another point. For a king like Maharaj Parikshit to become angry and envious, especially at a sage and a Brahmana, was undoubtedly unprecedented. So, second point, how unlikely can this be? Maharaj Parikshit, we already know the caliber of Maharaj Parikshit. He's not an ordinary king. He's not just another ordinary Raja Rishi also. He is Maha Bhagavat, coming from illustrious line, glorified by Srimad Bhagavatam in so many ways. For him to become merely angry, merely envious, and that too at a sage, at a Brahmana, who is the embodiment of Dharma. How is that possible? So we should already understand this is again something strange, not an ordinary situation. So, and then there is this nice verse, right, from Srimad Bhagavatam in the 12th chapter. There is no doubt that this child, Parikshit, will become a first class devotee, Mahabhagavata, and will be qualified with all good qualities. Already, so many chapters, it has established this very clearly. And further, we saw all these various qualities, how he is titiksha, he is forbearing like the earth, he is tolerant like his parents, he is equanimous like Yudhishthira Maharaj, right? And he's munificent like Shiva. He is shelter, just like Narayan. He's magnanimous, right? Like Ranti Deva Maharaj. So many good qualities already we have mentioned. So how can this be happening, right? So Prabhupada continues. Third point. The king has a right to punish his subject. So then he justifies. Prabhupada gives reason. So even if Maharaj Parikshit acted in this way, right? Still there is justification because, as I mentioned before, right? He was king, so dharma should be upheld, especially by the brahmanas. When a guest comes, the brahmana should receive him. What to speak of a king, right? So, and on top of that, the king has the right to punish his subjects, even though, right? So the king has a right to punish his subject for coldly receiving him or neglecting him. Mm. But at the same time, the culprit was a sage or a brahmana. How can a sage behave in this way? How can a brahmana also behave in this way? So all this cannot happen, but still it happened. Why it happened? So we will come to that. So the king knew well that brahmanas, sages, children, women, and old men are always beyond the jurisdiction of punishment. So this is Maharaj Parikshit. He knew dharma very well. Somebody can argue, you can say that the king has a right to punish somebody who disregarded him, neglected him. But he cannot punish Brahmana. He cannot punish a sage. Because according to scripture, Brahmana, sages, children, and women and old men are always beyond the jurisdiction of punishment. They cannot be subjected to it. So then, even in our society, when children commit crime, they are not put in a jail, right? So they are put in a counseling or correction, something like that, right? So even murder, if a child kills someone also by murder, as long as the child is not, she's still a child, that means up to 12 years old, they are not subjected to the same treatment. There are special treatments. So some vestiges of the Vedic rules. So all of this comes from the Vedic rules only. Right? So then we have another point here from chapter 16, Srimad Bhagavatam. Maharaj Parikshit then began to rule over the world as a great devotee of the Lord under the instructions of the best of the twice-born Brahmanas. So Maharaj Parikshit is not a stranger to Brahmanas. He is in fact used to taking order from Brahmanas. He is used to serving the Brahmanas. So therefore, for Maharaj Parikshit to act in this way, it is definitely unusual. So then how? Why did this happen? How did this happen? So the only explanation is, Prabhupada says, by the desire of the Lord, by the will of the Lord, by the desire of the Lord, even such a devotee can become apparently fatigued and thirsty. That's the first thing. Even such a devotee can only happen by the desire of the Lord. No power on this universe can shake such a pure devotee unless the Lord Himself wills it. Right? So first, he wouldn't have gotten thirsty and fatigued because the Lord protects. As the Lord is never envious of anyone, so also the Lord's devotee is never envious of anyone. Maharaj Parikshit became angry and envious at the sage. So earlier I gave some mundane justifications. I gave some material justifications, right? But actually the ultimate reason why Maharaj Parikshit behaved in this way was because of the will of the Lord. So Prabhupada clearly establishes that. Being distressed by hunger and thirst was only a show, because the king endured much more, even in the womb of his mother, when Brahmastra, which was burning the entire universe, that one he can withstand because he was a Kshatriya. Particularly, that verse mentions it, right? It was mentioned in the verse that he was bravely withstanding that fire. So, such a person cannot withstand a small amount of hunger and thirst. So, he was never disturbed by the glaring heat of the Brahmastra released by Ashwatthama. The king's distressed condition was certainly unprecedented. Therefore, the only understanding is situation in this case was therefore planned, all planned by the Lord. And this is not new. This was mentioned earlier in Srimad Bhagavatam also. Remember the situation, I think it was chapter 12, or was it earlier, chapter 9, I think, when Bhishma Dev was lying on the bed of arrows. When Bhishma Dev was lying on the bed of arrows, all the Pandavas went to see him, and Bhishma Dev was telling the Pandavas, Aho Kashtam, Aho Dukkam. So much of difficulties you have gone through, so much of situation you have gone through. You are the great personalities who are directly friends with Krishna, and yet you went through so much of difficulties. No one can understand this. It's not karma, it's not anything else. It is because of the will of the Lord. So the Lord, so nobody can understand the mind of the Lord. So that is the reason this is happening. So it was mentioned before, right? So, and the same thing now is mentioned again. Situation in this case was therefore all planned by the Lord. Then that, you know, that would raise the question, why would the Lord do this to his devotee? Why would the Lord plan for something like this to happen? So I gave a bit of an intro to that already previously, because the Lord had previously promised Kali. So that's the external reasons. There are internal reasons and external reasons. External reason is Kali would have his time. So Kali must have an excuse. Otherwise, with Parikshit Maharaj here, all perfect and fully protected by the Lord, there is absolutely no way Kali could enter into Kali Yuga, right? No way. So the Lord, so now the Kali tried. Kali tried. He came and tried to damage the earth and damage Dharma, but he was checked completely. So now the only way that he can come in is by the Lord himself has to arrange for it. Only then it can happen. So otherwise it cannot. So therefore the Lord did this. So we will hear more reasons. Everything that the Lord has. So that's the thing. We should not have doubt. Whatever the Lord does is always perfect. And whatever the Lord does always has reasons. And whatever the devotees do, the pure devotees of the Lord, also we should not doubt them. So let's hear more about this. So then Prabhupada says, one has to give up all attachment or worldly relations before one is able to go back to Godhead. Thus, when a devotee is too much absorbed in worldly affairs, the Lord creates a situation to cause indifference. So what Prabhupada is saying here, the Prabhupada is saying here, when the Lord creates this kind of amazing situation, we must rest assured that there are many lessons to be learned from this situation. So what the Lord does, the Lord uses his pure devotees. The Lord uses his pure devotees just like drama actors to teach various lessons. Sometimes he uses the devotees to teach positive lessons. That means we follow according to their example. Sometimes the Lord uses them to also teach us not to behave like that or not to do this. So and the pure devotees willingly accept that role. They are not disturbed. Oh, the Lord is using me as a bad example. Oh, I want to be hero only. I don't want to be villain in this drama. So the pure devotee doesn't think that way. The pure devotee is always surrendered to be the instrument. Whatever the Lord wants, let that be. Do we not see many examples like this in scripture, right? One example is, for example, Yudhishthira Maharaj, personification of dharma. And what did he do? He gambled, right? And he gambled away what he gambled away. He gambled away his kingdom, he gambled away his family, he gambled away his wife. So, how is that? So, that was another example of a Adbhuta situation, an amazing situation. So, we can understand that that is also by the will of the Lord. Yudhishthira Maharaj, in other words, was put into Yoga Maya. He was put into Maya, not Mahamaya. He was put into Yoga Maya. He was purposely bewildered by the Lord to act in such a way so that Mahabharata war can happen. Otherwise, Mahabharata war will not happen because Maharaj Yudhishthira is too perfect. Cannot. So therefore, he had to do this and create such a situation where Draupadi is disrobed. So, and we also had the situation of Bhishma Dev, Mahajan, Bhishma, and he kept silent when Draupadi was insulted. So we can also understand how Bhishma Dev was put into Yoga Maya. So it was all orchestrated by the Lord. We can also, another example, recently we had Ram Navami celebration. So we have Ramayana. In Ramayana, we have the same situation happening. Sita asked Lord Ram, go and get me the golden deer. Go and shoot for me this golden deer. I want it. So again, by the sweet will of the Lord, this situation was orchestrated. Sita Devi spoke in such a way. And then we have other situations like Jai and Vijay, right? Jai and Vijay was apparently put in a situation where they were cursed by the Sanat Kumaras. And in this way they had to fall down and become demons, and they become demons and they had to fight with the Lord and be killed by the Lord. So all this was addressed, all this was orchestrated by the Lord. The Lord felt like he wanted to fight with somebody, and he wanted to fight with someone of very powerful stature. So therefore he orchestrated that his pure devotees become a demon. And then simply in Krishna Lila we see all these things happening naturally. Krishna fights with his gopas all the time. He does wrestling, he does all these things. And sometimes Krishna loses. But so he felt this desire, and then he orchestrated this situation. So all this happened. So, and we also had the example of, there are many examples. We'll talk about a bit more of them. So one lesson is for us to learn. So the lesson for us to learn is, because we understand, due to this situation happening only, Parikshit Maharaj renounced the entire kingdom. Later we will hear how Parikshit Maharaj renounced the kingdom. So Prabhupada is telling us, sometimes the Lord puts us into this kind of situations. Reversals happen in our life. Sometimes the Lord uses his devotees where he creates such situations for them to help them to renounce. So Prabhupada says here, one has to give up all attachment for worldly relations before one is able to go back to Godhead. And thus, when a devotee is too much absorbed in worldly affairs, Lord creates a situation to cause indifference. So this sometimes happens just to loosen the knot of attachment that we all have for our family, for our relationships, for our attachments. All this happens sometimes. So we should see it in that way. And the merciful Lord sometimes creates such awkward positions for his pure devotees in order to drag them towards himself from the mire of material existence. But outwardly, the situation appears to be frustrating to the devotees. So so this is what Krishna says, when somebody is when someone is very dear to me, I ensure that he loses everything, so that he can completely sarva dharmam parityagya, he can completely surrender, full focused into me. So this is what he did to Prabhupada, right? So Prabhupada was put in such a situation that he renounced everything and took up sannyas, and as a result, the Lord's pastime could take place. And at the same time, he is teaching us, using his pure devotees, using his dear devotees, putting them into these situations, because he knows the pure devotees don't mind. So he puts them into this situation, and even in that situation also, although outwardly it looks like it's frustrating, for the pure devotee, he understands, his faith is so strong that whatever situation I'm put, it is by the will of the Lord, and therefore I will embrace that situation. Their faith is so strong that they don't feel the pain even in their situation. Evidence: what did Queen Kunti pray for? Queen Kunti prays, saying that let these disturbances come more and more and more. Can you imagine? So that means she already mastered the situation. Her faith is so strong. These situations are there only to increase my attachment towards the Lord. These reversals of life happen so that the attachment to the Lord becomes greater. Hmm? So that's the understanding. Then Prabhupada continues, the Supreme Lord is so kind to his pure devotees that in proper time, the Lord never does something to us when we are not ready to accept it. The Lord understands. The Lord is not callous. He knows. He's the perfect calculator. He knows exactly what to do at what time, what situation to give at what time, and he nudges the devotees. If the devotee is sincere, right? So the Lord is so kind. Even if the devotee is not sincere, also the Lord teaches lessons in different ways. So to bring the devotee back. So therefore, we can completely understand. So the Lord is so kind to his pure devotees that in proper time he calls such devotees up to him and thus creates an auspicious circumstance for the devotee. So now we can understand the Lord is creating a situation for Parikshit Maharaj. So one reason why the Lord is doing this, many reasons. One reason is because the Lord is creating a situation, an auspicious situation for Parikshit Maharaj to return back to him, not just to the spiritual world, but to return to the ultimate spiritual world, to return to Goloka Vrindavan. The Lord is creating an auspicious situation for Parikshit Maharaj to return to Goloka Vrindavan. So the Lord is arranging this, He's engineering this situation. So that is one reason. And then other reasons are that Maharaj Parikshit was thus placed in an awkward position just to create a situation favorable for his renunciation of worldly activities. So this is also to teach us the lesson so that we also can learn from all these things, right? So that gradually Srimad Bhagavatam could be revealed. This is reason number 2. Just like how Krishna put Arjuna into Yogamaya, into apparent so-called illusion. What did Arjuna become? In the Bhagavad Gita, we hear how Arjuna was completely disturbed, and he used that situation to teach, many things. So, and especially to create an opportunity for Bhagavad Gita to be spoken. So, just like how he used Arjuna to create an opportunity for Bhagavad Gita to be spoken, he is using Parikshit Maharaj to create an opportunity for Srimad Bhagavatam to be revealed. So, same thing also. Ramayana was also in the same way. It was revealed, right? Valmiki will say, from shoka came shloka. So, from lamentation and from misery comes shloka. So, from apparent difficulties and apparent miseries which a devotee goes through in his life, he gets realization if he takes shelter of scripture. So, therefore, what do we do when these situations happen? We should take shelter of scripture, right? And we will get realization. So, more we should hear and more we should chant in these situations. And these situations become very powerful to push our renunciation further, very powerful to push our realization to the next level. So the devotees of the Lord, so this is the summary of that. The devotees of the Lord are always under the protection of the Lord. Do not doubt this. Do not think the protection doesn't come to us because I'm not such a pure devotee, I'm just trying. But even so, Krishna reciprocates. Ye yata mam prapadyante tams tataiva bhajamyaham. According to our surrender, according to our reciprocation, the Lord reciprocates. But have faith that the Lord does reciprocate. It may be higher reciprocation, lower reciprocation, but reciprocation it is. And the Lord takes charge of our condition, right? And every situation that we face, the devotees face, right? It is calculated by the Lord to help us to advance. But we must take shelter. So we must follow the footsteps of the Mahajans, right? Mahajana Sapantaha. We must remember the stories of the Bhagavatam. They are not stories, they are histories. We must remember the histories of the Bhagavatam. We must remember how these pure devotees acted, and we must take inspiration and example and act in a similar fashion when we face through our situations and our challenges in our life, right? So, remembering and having faith that the devotees of the Lord are always under the protection of the Lord. And in any condition, frustration or success, the Lord is the supreme guide for the devotees. The pure devotees therefore accept all and any condition of frustration as blessings from the Lord. This is the very, very, very important point devotees should understand and hear. If we can visualize this and we can follow this, the Lord becomes very pleased with us. Our advancement takes very, very great steps, miles and steps we advance in our spiritual life. So the next time we go through any situation, we don't have to be like Kunti Maharani. We are not at that level. We don't have to pray, please give me tribulation so that I can put myself into the test. We don't have to pray for that because anyway that's going to happen because this is the material world. Dukkalayam ashashvatam, right? So, but at the same time, if we adopt this kind of mind frame, if we if we start seeing our difficulties with the vision of Srimad Bhagavatam and we act according to the understanding of Srimad Bhagavatam, then we can make very, very rapid advancement. Right? So, right? So now let's finish up the chapter. Not finish up this session. So then to the story. So Sutta Goswami then continues. Now, this situation has happened. What has happened? Parikshit Maharaj came to the place, ashram of Samika Rishi, and he was upset that Samika Rishi didn't receive him, and then he took a date snake and put it on his shoulder, and then he left, and he went back, and then he was deeply troubled, and he was thinking about it. Hmm? So now this sage, he had a son who was very powerful. Ati Tejasvi. Ati Tejasvi means very powerful. Why is he very powerful? Because he was born from a Brahmana. And the sage, the son, great personalities will carry forth great. Uh, there is a genetic coming down, like that's one of the reasons Krishna ensured that his entire dynasty was removed from this earth, because nobody can claim they are from the Vrishni dynasty, because the genetic material will pass down. So, therefore, being a son of a great personality, some of those great, powerful qualities would be passed down genetically, inherently. Right? It's part of the inheritance. So, by birth, his son had great qualities, right? But at the same time, he had great qualities by samskara also, because born in such a family, definitely he would be subjected to powerful samskaras. So, when human beings are born, we all have our samskaras, the birth ceremony, the naming ceremony, the ear piercing ceremony, the hair removing ceremony, marriage, starting of education, then marriage, and the final ceremony is the antyeshti, or the death ceremony. So these are all called samskaras, meant to purify the human being. So, like that, by samskara and by birth, this Brahmana boy was very powerful. He had a lot of Brahminical tejas, Brahminical power inherently in him. All right. And while he was playing, but he was young, so a very young boy. So he was playing with inexperienced boys. So he himself was inexperienced, and he was playing amongst inexperienced boys in such sangha, in the association of inexperienced boys. That means, in other words, immature. When he was playing amongst immature friends, he heard of his father's distress. Somehow the news came to him that his father, this situation happened, that this King Parikshit came, and then he put the snake on the shoulder of his father while the father was in trance. And then and there, the boy spoke as follows. What did he say? The Brahmana's son, but the name of the Brahmana's son is Shringi. So the father is Samika Rishi, and Shringi is the name of the boy. Oh, just look at the sins of the rulers who, like crows and watchdogs at the door, perpetrate sins against their master. Now, just see the type of words released by this Brahmana boy. He heard about this, and immediately he said, oh, just look at the sins of the rulers, like crows. So he likened Parikshit Maharaj to be like a crow and like a watchdog at the door, committing sins against their masters. Just like, crows, they like to steal things, right? They come and then they like to steal whatever that's on the floor, and they commit, and they pass stool. Whereas the dogs, they're sitting outside the door, and then they are just waiting to perform something, you know, perform some mischief. So in this way, you can see the mentality of this Shringi boy when he is addressing such a great personality, the king of the world, in this way. And that over what? What did the king do? The king, yeah, he put the dead snake on him. That's all. He didn't kill him. He didn't harm him. He didn't do anything else. And these are supposed to be Brahmanas, tolerant. And look how the Brahmana is addressing Parikshit Maharaj, all by the influence of Kali. So, contrary to the principles governing servants. So, in other words, he's acting in a way which is not right for a king. So, contrary to the principles of governing servants, he's acting in such a terrible way. And then Sringi continues, right? What he says, Kshatriya Bandhu. So, he's addressing Parikshit Maharaj, a Raja Rishi, and a great personality known as Vishnu Rata, directly protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's addressing him as Shatra Bandhu. This is an insult. So Shatra Bandhu means one who is a friend of a Kshatriya. That means he's saying that he's not the real Kshatriya. He is simply an associate of a Kshatriya. So it's an insult. These Shatra Bandhu are definitely designated as watchdogs, and they must keep themselves at the door. So he is pulling rank. This small boy, Brahmana boy, immature small Brahmana boy, is judging Parikshit Maharaj for the small offense of disrespecting the host. He is judging him as not fit as a king, and he should know his position as a mere Kshatriya. He should not cross us Brahmanas. He should know his position. So this is the mentality of this boy. And on what grounds can dogs enter the house and claim to dine with the master on the same plate? So you see the heavy words he is using. It reveals the mentality of this person. So who is actually having the envy? So the Brahmanas, so this reveals another schism in the Varnashram system when Kali takes root. So the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas are supposed to cooperate. There's by nature Kshatriyas respect the Brahmanas and follow their orders, and by nature the Brahmanas are very merciful and very munificent, and they never take offense, and they keep themselves in poverty and simplicity. So in this way, the balance is maintained. So what happens when the balance is broken? So Kali will come in this way and will strive to break this balance. On what grounds can Kshatriyas, or he's likening these Kshatriyas to be like dogs of the house, and they enter and claim to dine with the master. They forget position, they forget their place. They have no right to come even and ask anything from us Brahmanas. So this is the pride. This is the pride of Shringi. Now, when a Brahmana contracts the disease of pride, that is the end of him. That is the end of the Brahmanical. So this is the plan of Kali. So uh, this is how Kali can even take root. It takes root by first of all corrupting the head of society. So how can we corrupt the head of society? The Lord creates an opportunity for Kali. The Lord creates that opportunity for Kali to corrupt the head of society by forcing Parikshit Maharaj to act in a certain way. So that when he just did such a small thing, you can see that Kali immediately managed to enter into the heart of this Brahmana boy because he was immature, he wasn't properly trained, and he was very proud. So when the pride was already in there, Kali immediately jumped in and took root. Aha, thank you, Krishna. You have given me an opportunity. Now I will stroke this pride of this boy to such a burning situation, right? And that's exactly what Kali did. So then Kringi continued speaking. After the departure of Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead and the supreme ruler of everyone, these upstarts have flourished, our protector being gone. So now this Brahmana boy is trying to act like as if he is a holy man. He's quoting about Krishna, he's quoting religion, and he's saying, oh, our protector and our Supreme Lord has left this world. Now these Kshatriyas are thinking they can do whatever they want. So he is trying to establish himself as a spiritual person, this Brahmana boy. Therefore, I myself shall take up this matter and punish them. This boy wants to take the position of a punisher. He wants to take action. Just witness my balam. Just witness my strength. Balam means strength, my power. Because he had tejas, right? Brahminical tejas. So this is what he was saying. So in Kali Yuga, we find this situation a lot, especially when people claim they are spiritualist. They are Brahmanas, or they're spiritualist, or they are whatever, and they portray this holier than thou attitude. I'm holier than you, right? And you have no position to even question or behave in this way. So that is not the behavior. That is Kali. acting upon the pride of those who think they are spiritual. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu clearly says, Pranadapi Sunichena. Do not forget this. And Kavidas and Krishnadas Kaviraj Thakur, the writer of Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says we should take this Trinadapi Sunichena and wear it like a garland around our neck to continuously remind ourselves that pride is our enemy. And chapter 16 Bhagavad Gita, the divine and the demoniac, what does Bhagavad Gita say? It says that the qualities of the demon, the first quality of the demon is pride, right? Second quality of the demon is conceit and arrogance. The Damba, Abhimanaha, pride, arrogance, and conceit. All three are being manifested by this Brahmana boy. He's, he's projecting a demonic mentality within him. So that's what Kali is very good at. He will go into that pride. As soon as you allow the pride to be there, he will go and exploit it. And from this, what will happen? From this, anger will come. And when anger comes, we lose our intelligence and we act in haste. So this is what this boy is doing. You can understand this boy is trying to show off to his friends. He wants to show his power and he found a way and he's trying to show that, look, I will take righteous action. This is the verse, chapter 16, Bhagavad Gita. Dambo Darpa Abhimanas Chakroda Parishtaham. So Dambo means pride, right? And this pride, arrogance, and conceit will lead to Krodha. So what did he do? So what did he do? The son of the Rishi, Sringi, his eyes red hot with anger, touched the water of the river Kaushika, which was flowing nearby, right? And while speaking to his playmates, and discharged Vak Vajram. Vak Vajram means he started to utter words which were like thunderbolts. It means, in other words, he started to utter a terrible curse. Vak Vajram. So this Vak Vajram, what did he say? The Brahmana son cursed the king. Yes. With his Brahmana teachers, he took his Brahmana thread, he knotted it and he broke it, and he uttered these words using all of his tejas, and he uttered this curse. On the seventh day from today, Taka will bite the most wretched one of that dynasty. So from seven suns, from seven sunrises and sunsets, what will happen? He summons Taka. This is Takshaka. Takshaka, Prabhupada describes, is a flying snake. And he is the king of the snakes in that particular species. He's extremely poisonous, the most poisonous creature, and is a very special person, Takshaka. So he invokes Takshaka to come on the seventh day and to bite and inject his poison upon Parikshit Maharaj, and Parikshit Maharaj will therefore die. Why he invoked Takshaka? Because Parikshit Maharaj put the body of a snake. Therefore, since you put the body of the snake, I will invoke a snake, the king of the snakes, to come and bite you and kill you, just for the small offense. His life is to be forfeit in a most horrible way to die. Can you imagine a creature like this coming and chasing you in 7 days, and then you are to die being beaten by this creature? Oops. Hare Krishna, sorry for that. Battery went off. I had to plug in. Let me just check if the recording is going on. Okay, recording is going on. Okay. All right. So this happened. So anyway, we will stop at this point, and we will continue in our next session. What happened after this? So Takshaka came. He will come, and in this way, this is the curse Maharaj Parikshit would have, where he would be killed. So because of his broken the laws of etiquette, so simply for breaking the law of etiquette, small error, and he considered that to be a huge, terrible insult. This boy went and did like this. He pronounced this terrible curse. So what happens after this? How will Maharaj Parikshit take it? What further lessons we can learn from all these things? So think about all these things. Let's deeply think about why this happened and come up with any questions that we have, and then we will address them deeply in our next session. Right. So with that, let us offer our obeisances to Mr. Gaurahari. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So any questions or any clarifications on this?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, Tanda pranams to you.
Prabhu, I just posted one question in the box. Now, before that, Prabhu,
Mm.
in Srimad Bhagavatam 1:18, 24, 25,
Mm.
Arjuna was in illusion where Krishna called him to the place to fight.
Mm.
And also similarly,
Mm.
Maharaj Parikshit, he called him to the corner. To Maharaj Parikshit, he called him to the corner
Mm.
until he gave up his kingdom.
Mm.
He went and sat and listened to Srimad Bhagavatam.
Mm.
Why
Yeah.
didn't Parikshit Maharaj had earlier this idea?
Why did
Why did the what Supreme Lord have to step in to divert one person's attention?
mm, why did he have to divert Parikshit Maharaj's attention? Is
Yeah,
that the
because
thing?
he was ruling. After he made a mistake,
Mm.
then he gave up everything. He went to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
It also stated, it is also
Mm.
stated in Srimad Bhagavatam
Mm.
1:18, 24, and 25.
Mm.
Parthit Maharaj had not been hungry and thirsty at this time.
Mm.
Srimad Bhagavatam would not have been spoken by Sukadev Goswami,
Yeah.
the prime authority of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Mm-hmm.
So they con they push Parthit Maharaj one corner
Mm.
so that Srimad Bhagavatam will be spoken.
Yep. Yeah. So that's what we were saying just now, Prabhu. When the Lord does something like this, He has many reasons. One reason, which I didn't mention, is that uh, the Lord knows what's in our heart. And Parikshit Maharaj was someone who who had been desperately searching for Krishna right from the beginning of his birth. So if you know, he saw the Lord inside the womb, and right from birth, his entire life has been searching for Krishna. So that's why he even got the name Parikshit. Parikshit means everything he goes, he examines and sees where's Krishna, where's Krishna. So he's been asking, where's Krishna, where's Krishna, where's Krishna. And the Lord knew that in his heart. The Lord knew this is the desire of Parikshit, that Parikshit Maharaj he wants to come, he wants to see me, he wants to come to me. So and the Lord very sweetly is reciprocating. He's reciprocating with Parikshit Maharaj. His Parikshit Maharaj already lived for so long. Okay, he's 20. I don't know what was his age, but he lived already. And at the same time, he wanted Kali Yuga to have a chance on earth also. And at the same time, he wanted to bring Parikshit Maharaj back to him. So the Lord reciprocated. Parikshit Maharaj is very, very dear to the Lord, and the Lord is also very, very dear to Parikshit Maharaj. And the Lord, out of his eagerness, he wanted to quickly take Parikshit Maharaj back to him. So he orchestrated this situation. And while doing the situation, the Lord was, he wants many things accomplished in one act. So at the same time, Parikshit Maharaj is going to come back to me. So when he comes back, he has to leave only. So while he's leaving, why not I use this opportunity to at the same time create Srimad Bhagavatam? So therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam will be forever remembered in association with Parikshit Maharaj. So this will glorify Parikshit Maharaj eternally. What a great legacy. So if at all I want to glorify my devotee, isn't this a wonderful way to glorify my devotee? So in that way, Krishna was thinking. So he arranged this situation to happen. And there are many other lessons also. So one is to also to show that, one should renounce. The purpose of life is not to hold on to material duties constantly. So we will see Parikshit Maharaj how he will completely renounce everything and he will take up to spiritual, simply hearing for 7 days and nights. So many lessons. We will talk about some of these lessons in our next session, because otherwise there's a lot. We cannot cover everything. We talked about some of them today, but we will speak about others as well in the future. So yes, Prabhu, it is organized by the Lord. He cornered this. He made it happen. The Lord is always dramatic. Nothing he does is boring. Nothing he does is conventional. Especially the more wonderful the devotee, the more dramatic that the Lord will arrange for that devotee. So that is our Lord, So I hope that answers. Any other question? I cannot read your. You said you put something in the chat, but because my computer crashed just now, so no battery, so all the message has been removed. If there's any other thing, you can post it later or something. Any other questions? Anything else from anyone? No. All right. So I recommend that we think about this, what we have heard, and whatever questions that come across, whatever doubts that come across, just put it down, and then we can raise them again in the chat, or you can raise them in the questions when we next have our session. Happy to answer, right? So at the same time, let's deeply meditate upon what happened about this narration of Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's try to see. Yes.
So sorry, Prabhu. Sorry.
No
I
problem.
put a question. You erased ready.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, the question is like that. The Brahmana boy gave a chance for the Kali to enter into the field of Vedic culture. It is said the first victim is Mhj Parikshit, Srimad 1, 1832. Parikshit authorized Kali in 5 places. How is it Kali enter in Vedic culture? That was my question.
Yeah. So yes, I said there was no way to Kali enter. No way for Kali to enter. The only way for Kali to enter is the Lord himself has to intervene. The Lord has to come and put Parikshit Maharaj into illusion and cause him to make a mistake. So that will open up the avenue for Kali to creep into the heart of the Brahmana boy. Because the king was so powerful in his protection that even if such thoughts were there, the king's act was so beyond reproach that nothing could be done wrong by others. No one could say anything wrong about the king. But now the Lord has forced the king to act in such a way that somebody who had a chance to say something negative about the king already. So then, due to pride which was in the heart, Kali immediately entered into the Brahmana boy. So it was due to the Lord's intervention. So that answers, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay. Thanks, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. We will stop here. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you very much for your time. Right.
Thank you,
See you again.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna,
Thank you.
Prabhu. Dandavat pranam,
Dandavat
Prabhu.
pranams. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.